Welcome back, my duelist friends. Casual Duelist here. It is Thursday. Thursday means a little time wizard action. That's why our buddy's here. And we are going to be concluding our Android format coverage. So, we've done a lot of cool decks. I know I didn't do the Crab Turtle for this particular era. But nothing really changed too much with the change of Labyrinth of Nightmare being the newest set. It was fine. But today I get to share with you guys my favorite deck of the time period, mostly because it's like the first time I remember Empty Jar being a thing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you guys a 40-card Morphing Jar deck. Not a Morphing Jar deck, a Empty Jar deck. My goodness. Anyway, so moving in. First things first, I like playing 2 copies of 4-star Ladybug of Doom in this deck. Third one would obviously be in the sideboard, which is fine. Effect, flip, destroy all level 4 monsters the opponent controls. Again, due to the time period with this little guy. And Labyrinth of Nightmare being the newest set, you see a lot of Kaiku running around. You see a lot of Gemini Elf. You see a lot of Bazu the Soul Eater. We see 4 stars going like crazy. They're everywhere, as they should be. And this little card from Pharaoh's Servant is going to be amazing. It's going to be immaculate. And it was super budget friendly because it was a common then too. Next card in the deck, obvious pick. We got to have Jar Monsters. So Cyber Jar is going to help us. The whole goal for our deck is going to be to eliminate as many cards out of the opponent deck as possible. And Cyber Jar will pull 5 cards. It'll also deal the ability of disrupting the field state with its flip and destroy effect. So we can actually end up doing a lot more to the opponent than just upsetting how many cards are left in their deck by disrupting the board state and the game state. So again, this is really cool. Again, when the 5 cards are revealed, 4-star monsters are summoned in either face-up attack or face-down defense, which means we can set more flip effects. Because again, this is something I do not love about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that flip effects are essentially just too slow for them to have any real place in the game. Previous time periods is not so I enjoy to play them as much as I can. One of those is going to be Hero's Shadow Scout. Now, I did buy some copies. I got extra copies of this guy finally. So anytime I need a deck that's going to have 3, I've got them. Went out, did the homework, made the purchase. It was all good. Hero's Shadow Scout will have a flip effect that states opponent draws 3. Both players look at the cards. Any spells among them get discarded. And everything else gets added to the hand, stays in the hand. The reason this is good is the reason that destroying spells is always good in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because spells are always going to be more relevant than traps. Because we get the effect now. So every deck, especially in the time period full of 1-ups, like all of these older time periods were, you know, Raigeki at 1, Dark Hole at 1, Snatch Seal at 1, Change of Heart at 1, Confiscation, Delinquent Duo, Forceful Sentry, Swords of Revealing Light. Insert your favorite card. It was probably at 1. Hero Shadow Scout, as long as these cards are going to be spells, it's going to go ahead and take care of them. Plus, again, just like the 4-star Ladybug of Doom, if you guys are worried about the sideboard and filling it up, you just place your 3rd copy in there. Same thing with this next guy. We're going to be running 2 copies Mask of Darkness. Now, the reason I'm using the Mask of Darkness is, again, Labyrinth of Nightmare gave us some really good traps. We've got some really good traps, but we're more interested in how traps are going to sustain us. So being able to get the flip effect and get our trap card back from the discard pile, add it back to our hand, that's going to be pretty big. Next up, the Morphing Jar, because, earlier I had mistaken. I was looking at him, and instead of saying Empty Jar, I said Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar, great card, again. Little tough for people back in the day to get this when we were playing this format, when it was the format. But today, looking backwards, this guy's still kind of expensive. I think this one ran me like $4 for the copy, and this is like the newest reprint. So it is what it is. Morphing Jar will always be a valued monster because, again, it's just super good in the formats that it's legal in. When it flips, everybody drops their hand and draws 5 new. So again, we get to attack 5 cards out of the opponent's deck. So it's an attack for 5, an attack for 5, 3 each. If each of those resolved, that's already 16 cards out of the opponent's deck, not counting the 5-card hand. So that's 21. That's half their deck is already gone. If you just resolve the 4 effects on the table. Next up, and I chose this guy for the thumbnail today. I love Morphing Jar number 2 for a couple of reasons. One, he was limited to 2 almost immediately. But what I really love him for is how complicated his text seemed when we were younger. So I got the old PSV here. Flip, return all monster cards on the field to their owner's decks. Then each player picks up cards from the top of their deck until they have the same number of monster cards they returned to their deck. From those cards, special summon all level 4 or lower in face down defense. The rest of cards picked up are discarded. So it becomes like a little math problem. You basically draw cards until you find X monsters. X is whatever you flipped back. As the empty jar player, I might have a monster or 2. As the non-empty jar player, you probably got like 2 or 3. So what's going to happen is you're going to pick up till you find 2 or 3. And it declared that they had to be... Okay, so 2 or 3 monster cards. And then you can only special summon the ones that are 4-star. Did it say or less? Yeah, 4-star or lower. And those have to be placed in face-down defense position. So again, if I'm sending anybody back, this is great for me. This is an effect I want to be able to control because I want to be able to reset cards like Morphing Jar or Hero Shadow Scout or the Mask of Darkness. Now, if your opponent were to pick up, say, 2 Summoned Skulls and a Blue Eyes, then they just discard their cards. They found 3 monsters, but they were not 3 monsters that could be special summoned. Now, I'm not too sure. This guy may have gotten an errata since I never played him, since Empty Jar, so maybe he doesn't work that way anymore. But since we are playing in the time period, that is exactly how it's going to work. And again, I like him. He's got that smile. I don't know. Reminds me of Suezo for anybody out there who still remembers Monster Rancher. Next up, and again, this was another tough sell to get back in the day because Needleworm was a tournament promo card. So, just like the Morphing Jar, you had to do some winning to get this guy. And it would be a flip, send top 5 of the opponent's deck straight to the discard pile. It's a straight up mill 5. So right there's another mill 15. Not counting the variable of the jar. Plus the Morphing and Cyber Jars. That's, again, 5, 5, and 5. That's 25 cards there. Plus the 6, that's 31. Plus the 5 they start with, that is 36. Then you just got to figure out how to get 4 more cards out of their hand. And that could just be through, I don't know, 4 turns of drawing. So again, a lot of this deck just focuses on ripping up the opponent's options by just tearing their deck apart. We are going to play Sangan. Again, we got to lean into the one-ups because Sangan is going to be one of those good ones. We are going to be running triplicate, full play set of the Spear Cretin. Again, this is one of those like crazy great flip effect monsters that we used to love back then, and nowadays players might be experiencing this card for like the first time since he was released recently-ish in Speed Duel. Spear Cretin has the effect, flip, and then after this card is flipped, when it is sent to the graveyard, each player selects 1 monster from their graveyard and special summons it in face-up attack or face-down defense. But again, this allows me to reload any one of my flip effects. I could reload another Spear Cretin. I could bring Morphing Jar number 2 back, Morphing Jar regular back, Hero Shadow Scout, Cyber Jar, Needleworms. We could reload the 4-star Ladybug of Doom. There is so much you could do with this card. It's awesome. And then the last monster card we are going to be running is going to be a copy of the Witch of the Black Forest. So between Witch and Sangan, we can search every card in the deck. That's the only reason they're here this time. Not just because like you just play generically good tech cards and suddenly you're a good player. No, it's because they literally, between the 2 of them, were given 2 options to search for anything in the deck. Nothing in this deck gets over 1,500 points in either the attack or the defense. So, again, just use them. You'll understand. Moving over to spells. Spells is pretty straightforward. Single card destruction. Great attack on the hand. Or, well, attack on the hand / the deck. Confiscation. Good for doing what it needs to do. Dark Hole at 1. Delinquent Duo at 1. Pot of Greed at 1. Geki at 1. Swords at 1. Sentry at 1, and Shallow Grave at 3. So now let me justify these. We got the 3 basic ones that we need for attacking the hand. Confiscation, Delinquent Duo, and the Forceful Sentry. As much as we want things out of the deck, we also need to make sure that the opponent doesn't have the answer already in their hand. So being able to go after and use these cards, perfect. Same thing with Card Destruction. It's going to do it on a bit of a bigger scale. Pot of Greed is going to help get you into your options. Dark Hole and Geki. No Monster Reborn, you might notice. Dark Hole and Geki literally just need to go ahead and do field resets. Our goal, our win condition is not taking the opponent's hit points. We are trying, however, to make them draw when they don't have a card in their deck. That is the point of today's deck. That's why we got the swords. We got 3 turns waiting there. The Shallow Graves is half of the effect of Spirit Cretin. Each player targets a monster in their own graveyard, special summons it back in face-down defense position. I now have 6 shots at reloading cards like Needleworm, Morphing Jar, Cyber Jar, Morphing 2. I could do this into a Spirit Cretin or 4-star Ladybug of Doom. It is what it is. It's a good card. Now, to further lock things in to where we're going to get our win by the condition we've chosen, and I'm going to slide this down just a hair. We need some trap card power today, and trap cards we shall have. We're going to start off with 2 copies of Gravity Bind. Gravity Bind is finally going to start seeing some play. We're going to see this more in water decks later, but Gravity Bind takes and makes it so that level 4 and higher monsters cannot attack. The first monsters that actually get around this entirely won't be released for years, because remember, this is like early 2003. We don't know what a Synchro is or a Tuner or anything yet. So like Lynx and Xyz monsters that just don't have levels haven't even been thought of. This is a crazy good trap. And really the only card that wants to and can get through this right now is going to be Jinzo. So do keep that in mind. Continuing with some control, we are going to get the single copy Imperial Order. We are going to run the single Magic Cylinder, as well as the single Mirror Force. Again, these are sort of like board wipes. I guess Cylinder might cause some form of damage. We're looking at it as a big block. It is what it is. And if you don't like it, you guys can toss that one out of this one. This deck would be fine without it. Just simply substitute anything else that you like. Labyrinth of Nightmare did give us the Torrential Tribute, so we are going to run 3 of it. Again, the goal for us never was to keep a huge field. We're not trying to win through just attacking the whole time. We're winning through alternative method. So field presence doesn't really matter to us as much. Again, we can build back with a simple Shallow Grave or a Spirit Cretin and get back into reusing, again, a lot of these like limited effects or these very hard-hitting effects. And then last but not least, I'm playing Triplicate here. We're going to run 3 copies of Wabaku. And again, my Wabaku plays tend to be the plays where I'm using Morphing number 2. Again, there's usually not a big reason for me as a duelist playing Empty Jar to save my monsters, but if there's any reason it could be, it's because you want Morphing Jar number 2 to resolve, and you, again, take a look at your own deck, and you go, I don't have any tribute monsters. That's good. That means whenever Morphing 2 hits off, you're going to be able to benefit from the picking up any monster card in your deck. And since you have so many that are flip effects, you're going to immediately just profit off of the effect. So, that is the deck. Now, side deck options, we could talk about a couple of these. Anything that you see that's not in its full limit. Like, again, Gravity Bind was not limited yet. I could have run a 3rd Gravity Bind instead of running a Magic Cylinder. However, the 3rd Gravity Bind fits nicely into the side deck. The 3rd, 4th Ladybug, or 4-star Ladybug, fits nicely in there. Mask of Darkness. Maybe you want to put some Magicians of Faith over there. Maybe you want a Monster Reborn in there. Maybe you want some giant Trunades. And you're going to go Trunades over Heavy Storm, and you're going to go for a reason. It's because of the reuse ability. Not that you're going to reuse too much, but you don't want to destroy Gravity Binds if you're not running a bunch of them. And Swords is at 1 right here, so like even if you were going to use like Premature Burial or something, You could reuse the Premature Burial. You could reassign Snatch Steal to a different monster. Call of the Haunted would bounce. The monster attached to the Call of the Haunted would actually go back into the graveyard, which is fine if it's Witch or Sandgang, because that counts towards their effect. But as far as making progress, making moves forward, you want to reinforce the stall strategy, maybe add a couple more flips. Now, after this deck, and what I think is going to be really awesome, the next format. It's kind of a short format. It was only like a couple of months. It was the Joey Pegasus format, and it falls between the Android format and the Fiber Jar format, which would happen later in the year in July. So we have like May and June as like the next format, and it is going to be a crazy format because we're finally going to get access to Scapegoats, which means we're going to get into one of the most famous formats of all, Scapegoat format, which I think happens just on the other side of, and I could double check this later, I think it happens on the other side of the Fiber format, which is, again, just super exciting for me, I think, because it was a big part of when I was playing when I was younger. But it's a big timepiece everybody loves. But we were also able to use like Graceful Charity. Tunes were more common now. There's some cool stuff that comes out in those decks. Plus, we get some good game promos. We get, like, I think it was Sinister Serpent pops up right at the same time as Graceful Charity. And it's just perfect. So for now, I'm going to let you guys go. Hopefully, you guys have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Do something for yourselves. If we've entertained, like, comment, sub, do the things. But yeah, just go out and enjoy the rest of your week. Next week, when I come back to this, we're going to review like all the things that got added for the next format, as well as discussing the next ban list. And then we'll go back into making some more decks for you, okay? One other thing, we do have a viewer submission, sort of like I asked them if I could profile their deck. So we got a really cool speed duel deck coming this Saturday. So hopefully you guys will be around to enjoy that. See you later.